Can you at least look at me when you talk? I asked. My voice came out smaller than I wanted, half swallowed by the sound of the TV. Adrian didn't glance up. I'm working, Alara. Not everything revolves around your feelings. The blue light from the screen painted his face in cold shades. I stared at him, waiting, hoping, for some flicker of warmth. You've been home 3 hours. You haven't said a single thing to me. He sighed, deep and sharp. Because every time I open my mouth, you find something to complain about. That's not true, I whispered. It is. You're always looking for a fight. Maybe if you focused on keeping the house clean instead of analyzing me, we'd both be happier. The words hit like a slap. I wanted to remind him that I work too, that I spent 8 hours at the office before rushing home to cook dinner, but the sentence broke before it left my lips. He muted the TV. What now? You're going to cry? No, I forced my eyes dry. I just don't understand when we stopped being us. He laughed once, short, bitter. There is no us when one person refuses to grow up. That night, I lay beside him in silence. His back was turned, his breathing steady, while mine came in shaky bursts I tried to hide under the covers. I counted the spaces between his breaths, pretending each gap might hold an answer. At work the next morning, Lydia leaned on my desk. Rough night? She asked, eyes bright with curiosity she pretended was concern. You could tell? I tried to sound casual. You look exhausted. She brushed imaginary lint from my shoulder. Adrian again? I smiled weakly. We just don't talk much lately. Maybe he's just stressed, she said, tilting her head. You know how men get. Yeah, I said softly. Maybe. Her perfume lingered after she walked away, sweet, expensive, and somehow suffocating. I told myself she cared. She'd been my friend for years, she had to care. That evening, when I got home, Adrian was on the phone, voice low. He hung up the second he saw me. Who was that? I asked. Work. Work calls you baby? His jaw tightened. You're imagining things. I heard it, Adrian. He stood, towering over me. You always hear things. You twist everything I say. Do you know how exhausting that is? My hands trembled. I'm not trying to, enough. His voice cracked like thunder. You act like my mother, always checking up, always doubting. You should be grateful for what you have. What I have? I repeated. A roof. A husband who provides. Stop making it sound like prison. But it was a prison, one built of guilt and silence. And somehow, I'd handed him the key. 2 weeks passed in the same gray rhythm, me cooking, him leaving, Lydia texting me cheerful little updates. You're doing amazing, he's just moody, trust me, Alara, men always come around. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe anyone. One rainy Friday, I called Adrian. Do you want dinner out tonight? I already ate, he said. With who? Clients. Lydia said she saw you near the riverfront, his tone sliced through the line. So now you're tracking me? Unbelievable. I'm not. I just don't wait up. He hung up. I stared at the black screen until my reflection blurred into the window behind it. My voice broke in the quiet room. Why am I still trying? Saturday morning, Lydia showed up with coffee and that same sugary smile. I thought we could have a girls' day, she said. You need it. I can't, I murmured. Adrian's parents are coming, she interrupted with a laugh. Oh, please. You can spare an hour. He'll survive. So I went. We walked through the mall, pretending to browse, pretending I wasn't dying inside. At lunch, Lydia leaned forward. You know, men cheat when they feel unappreciated. I froze. Why would you say that? Just saying, maybe give him space. Don't suffocate him. I don't, she smiled. I'm only trying to help. Her words lingered the rest of the day like smoke I couldn't clear. That night, I waited for Adrian until midnight. When he finally came home, his tie was loose, his hair messy. Where were you? Out. Out where? He shrugged. You don't need to know every detail of my life. I'm your wife. He tossed his jacket on the couch. You're my responsibility, not my equal. The sentence hung in the air like a curse. I stepped closer. You used to say I was your heart. Then I must have grown another one. Something inside me cracked quietly. Not loud enough for him to hear, but loud enough for me. Sunday afternoon, Lydia called. Can you come by my apartment? I need help choosing a dress. Her voice was too cheerful. My head said no, but my heart, always desperate to fix things, said yes. When I reached her building, I hesitated at the door. It was slightly open. Lydia? I called. No answer. I pushed it wider and froze. Adrian's jacket hung on her chair. His voice came from the next room, low and unmistakable. Then her laugh. My world tilted. I moved forward without sound, every step hollow. They didn't see me. His hands were on her waist, her lips traced his neck. I stood there long enough to memorize betrayal, its smell, its color, its rhythm. He looked up first. Alara, I shook my head. Don't. Lydia pulled away, words tumbling. It's not what it looks like. It looks exactly like what it is, I said. Adrian stepped toward me. Listen, you drove me to this. You're cold, demanding, I served you. I loved you. I gave up everything. And I never asked you to. I laughed, a broken, tired sound. No, you just took it anyway. I turned for the door. Where are you going? He called. Anywhere you're not. The rain was hard by the time I reached the street. I could barely see through the tears or the storm. Headlights blurred into white streaks. My phone rang, Lydia's name flashing, but I didn't answer. I stepped off the curb. A horn. Screeching brakes. Impact. Everything shattered, the umbrella, the glass, my breath. The last thing I heard was someone shouting my name, and then nothing. Darkness has weight. It presses, it whispers. I thought death would be empty, but it was full of every voice I'd tried to silence. Adrian's scorn, Lydia's laughter, my own apologies. I gave them everything, that was my last thought. Then a sound, the tick of a clock. The smell of rain, faint but familiar. My eyes opened. Ceiling fan. Beige curtains. Morning light. My heart lurched. I was in our old apartment, the one we'd sold 3 years ago. The same ugly wallpaper, the same crack near the window. No, I whispered. This isn't possible. I stumbled to the mirror. My reflection stared back, fresher, younger, unscarred. The date on my phone blinked, April 2nd, 3 years ago. I laughed once, then covered my mouth to stop it from turning into a scream. Down the hall, Adrian's voice called, Alara, where's my tie? For a second, I couldn't breathe. He walked in, alive, smug, unaware. You look like you saw a ghost. Maybe I had. Maybe I was one. I'm fine, I said quietly. He smirked. Good. Don't make me late again. When he left, I sat on the edge of the bed, shaking. This was the morning after our first real fight, the one that started everything. I remembered every word, every wound that would follow. But now I knew how it ended. I pressed a hand against my chest, feeling my heartbeat race. Not again, I whispered. This time, I won't die loving you. Breakfast's getting cold. Adrian's voice came from the kitchen, sharp as the edge of the counter he leaned on. I placed the tie neatly on the table. You said you didn't like eggs yesterday. I made toast. He glanced up, suspicion flickering. Since when do you remember details like that? Since I started listening better, I said lightly. He frowned, maybe at the tone. The old me would have apologized, stumbled over excuses. The new me smiled instead. He grunted, grabbed his coffee, and left without another word. The door slammed. I exhaled, a slow, controlled breath. The sound of silence filled the apartment, the kind that used to hurt. Now it felt like air. At work, Lydia waved from her cubicle. Ilara! Over here. Her red lipstick gleamed under the lights. You disappeared yesterday. Everything okay? Perfect, I said, setting my bag down. She eyed me closely. You look different. Happier, maybe? Maybe I just slept, I said. Lydia laughed. I need your secret. Adrian must be treating you right for once. I tilted my head. He's always been consistent. Consistently busy, maybe. She smirked, like she knew something I didn't. I forced a small chuckle. You'd know better than anyone, right? Her smile faltered, barely, then returned. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I said, meeting her gaze. Just talking. By noon, Adrian stopped by the office. It wasn't unusual, his company owned half the floor, but he rarely sought me out. Ilara, he said curtly. Lunch. Let's go. Lydia's eyes darted between us. How romantic, she teased. Adrian ignored her. I followed him, wondering what game he was playing now. At the cafe, he scrolled through his phone. The investors' dinner is next Friday. Wear something appropriate this time. I always do. He gave me that look, the one that made me feel small, useless. But this time, I didn't shrink. He noticed. Why are you looking at me like that? Like what? Like you know something I don't. Maybe I finally do, I said. His brows knitted. You've been acting strange lately. Strange how? Too quiet. Too calm. It's unsettling. I stirred my coffee. You used to say I talked too much. Now it feels like you're waiting for something. I am, I said softly. For my toast to arrive. He sighed, frustrated. You're impossible. I've heard that before. He muttered something about me being dramatic and went back to his phone. I smiled behind my cup. Later that week, Noah Hale stopped by my desk. He was Adrian's partner, the quiet one, always polite, always composed. Mrs. Vaughn, he said with a nod. Haven't seen you at the firm lately. I've been busy pretending not to exist, I said before realizing it was out loud. He blinked, then smiled. That sounds productive. I laughed, the first real one in days. Sorry. I meant I've been low profile. Understandable. Adrian's been intense lately. That's one word for it. He hesitated. If you ever need help with anything business related, you can reach out. I know working with him can be complicated. I appreciate that. He gave a small, knowing nod. You've changed. How so? You used to avoid eye contact. Now you meet it like you're measuring people. I smiled faintly. Maybe I am. He walked away, and for a second, I wondered if he could sense it, the truth buried beneath my skin, the memory of my death that pulsed like a second heartbeat. Friday arrived with rain. Adrian and Lydia both had meetings that somehow ended in the same part of town. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Instead, I sat at my desk, going through reports, when Noah appeared again. "You're here late." "So are you," I said. He leaned on the doorway. "Adrian's meeting should have ended an hour ago." "Did he call?" No. Noah looked uncomfortable, like he wanted to say something but couldn't. "He's been meeting Lydia more a lot lately." I glanced up. "Really?" "Yeah. For PR campaigns, apparently." "Apparently." He studied me. "You don't seem surprised." "I'm not." He frowned. "Then why stay?" "Because walking away isn't revenge. Watching him lose everything by his own hand is." He looked at me for a long time, as if deciding whether to laugh or worry. "You sound dangerous." "I'm just done being the victim." He smiled faintly. "Good. Someone should be." The next morning, I pretended to sleep as Adrian got ready. He hummed, a tune he only used when things went his way. I waited until he left, then checked his drawer. Receipts, hotel cards, a single note, *, meet me at 8. "Don't be late, *. I folded it neatly and placed it back. "Not yet." At work, Lydia greeted me with her usual brightness. "Coffee?" she offered. "Sure," I said, accepting it. "You always know how I like it." "Of course," she said. "We've known each other forever." I took a sip. "Forever feels shorter lately." She tilted her head. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing." I smiled. "Just talking." Her eyes flickered, a flash of unease. I'd planted the first seed. That night, Adrian arrived home irritated. "Who told you to change my meeting schedule?" "I just adjusted it so you wouldn't overlap with Lydia's appointments," I said calmly. "You what?" "You both use the same driver." It looked messy. He stared at me. "You've lost your mind." "Maybe," I said, keeping my voice even. "But your secretary thanked me. Said it made things easier." He looked thrown off, confused that I wasn't apologizing. "Don't mess with my work again." "I won't," I said, and meant something entirely different. Days passed like quiet storms. I began noticing how easily people talk when they think you're harmless. Lydia whispered on phone calls, careless enough for me to hear names. Adrian deleted messages too late. Every piece fell into place. At lunch one afternoon, Lydia sat across from me. "You've been so calm lately," she said. "No tears, no drama." "I'm proud of you." "Thanks," I said. I stopped believing crying changes anything. Her smile stiffened. "I used to envy how gentle you were." "Don't," I said, sipping my drink. "Gentle women end up ghosts in their own stories." She laughed, but there was tension in it. "You've gotten poetic." "Or honest." Later, in the hallway, Noah caught up to me. "You know they're together, don't you?" "I do," I said simply. "And you're not." "Furious? Heartbroken?" "No." He studied my face. "You're planning something." "I'm preparing," I corrected. "For what?" "For their fall." He exhaled, half admiring, half concerned. "You scare me sometimes." "I scare myself too." He smiled. "Whatever you're doing, be careful. Revenge burns both sides." "I'm already ash," I said quietly. He didn't answer. The tension grew like static. Adrian snapped at Lydia during a conference call, accusing her of leaking files. Lydia denied it, of course, but the seed I'd planted, her name appearing in the wrong schedule, whispers in the office, started to bloom. That evening, Lydia confronted me near the elevator. "Did you tell Adrian I was leaking information?" I tilted my head. "Should I have?" "You know exactly what I mean, Alara." I smiled faintly. "Then why ask?" She clenched her fists. "You think you're clever, don't you?" "No. I think you're nervous." Her expression faltered. "He'll believe me." "He always does." "Then you shouldn't be worried." The elevator door opened. I stepped inside. "By the way," I added, "you should really check your sent folder." Her eyes widened as the door closed. That night, Adrian slammed the door when he came home. "Did you tell Lydia to back off?" I looked up from my book. "No, she said you threatened her." "Did she?" He paced. "She's been unstable lately. Maybe you said something that set her off. Maybe she's finally showing her real face." He turned sharply. "She's not the problem here, Alara. You are." "Of course," I said. "I always am." He froze, caught off guard by the lack of protest. "Good night, Adrian." He stared at me for a moment, then left for the guest room. The next morning, I stood by the window as he left. Lydia's car waited at the corner. They argued before driving off. I smiled, small and private. Noah called an hour later. "Whatever you're doing," he said, "it's working." He's unraveling. "Not me," I said. "Them." "Still, be careful. Adrian's pride is fragile." "So is glass," I replied. "But both break the same way, from the inside." He chuckled softly. "You sound like someone reborn." "I am," I said. That evening, I sat at the table with a cup of tea and the quiet satisfaction of balance tilting. Adrian had shouted at Lydia in front of half their team. She left crying. He came home silent, pacing, drinking. When he finally looked at me, I met his gaze steadily. "Rough day?" He didn't answer. Just stared, confused by the calm woman before him. "Dinner's on the stove," I said. He nodded, defeated, and walked away. I went to bed with the lights off, my eyes open. For the first time, peace didn't feel like a stranger. It felt earned. The woman who used to beg for love had learned something new. Silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. "Turn off the cameras." Adrian's voice roared through the hall. "Now!" The sound bounced off the marble walls like thunder. The same walls that once echoed laughter now swallowed his panic. I stood near the staircase, hands steady, heart silent. For the first time, his empire wasn't a symbol of power, it was a cage collapsing from its own weight. "Adrian, the reporters are outside again." Lydia's voice trembled. Her perfect hair was tangled, mascara bleeding down her cheeks. "They said they have proof, your emails, the money transfers." "Shut up," he snapped, slamming a glass onto the table. "You think I don't know who leaked it?" His bloodshot eyes darted toward me. "It was you, wasn't it, Alara?" I smiled faintly. "Why would I need to? You've always been your own disaster." He froze. For a second, he looked small. "You think you can stand there and talk to me like that?" "I'm just standing," I said quietly. "Something I couldn't do before without your permission." Lydia stepped closer, her voice high, desperate. "Alara, please, whatever's happening, fix it. You always know how to calm him down." "Fix it?" I turned to her. "You mean the man you helped destroy me for? The one who said I was his burden?" She flinched. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Adrian says a lot of things, I interrupted. He called me his servant once. Remember that? Neither of them spoke. The silence was thick, like the moment before a storm. Adrian paced, running his hands through his hair. They're tearing my name apart out there. Everything I built, everything you built? I tilted my head. You built it on lies, Adrian. You built it on me cleaning up your messes, taking your blame, covering your mistakes. You just forgot who you were stepping on while you climbed. His jaw tightened. You wanted this life. You begged to stay. I looked at him, remembering that night years ago, when he told me I wasn't enough, and I still stayed, thinking love was sacrifice. I begged for you to see me, not to own me. The front door burst open. Noah stepped inside, rain dripping from his coat. His expression was grim but calm. The board voted Adrian. You're out. Effective immediately. Adrian spun around. You think you can just waltz in here and, I'm not your enemy, Noah said evenly. You made plenty of those yourself. For a moment, Adrian laughed, a dry, hollow sound. And you, Elara. You did this. You set me up with him. I didn't deny it. No. I just stopped protecting you. Lydia's voice broke. Adrian, we can fix this, he turned on her so fast she stumbled. You're the one who dragged me into this. You leaked things, didn't you? You thought you'd save yourself. Her face went pale. No! I swear, I didn't, you did, I said softly. You tried to sell the information to one of his competitors when you realized he wouldn't leave his wife. Lydia's mouth fell open. I learned to listen this time, I said. To every whisper, every lie you thought I couldn't hear. Adrian's voice cracked. You ruined me. No, I said, finally letting my breath out. You did that when you forgot what love meant. He sank into the nearest chair, head in his hands. Everything's gone. I stepped closer. Not everything. You still have the woman who helped you betray me. Lydia turned toward me, tears spilling. Elara, please, you're not like this. You're not cruel. I looked at her, and for a second, I saw the girl who once held my hand through heartbreaks, who laughed beside me at cafes. Then I remembered the night she smiled while standing in my husband's shirt. You're right, I said quietly. I'm not cruel. That's why I'm leaving you both to face yourselves. Adrian lifted his head, eyes red. Wait. Don't go. We can fix it. I'll make it right. I'll change. I shook my head. You had years to change. I died waiting for it. The words hit him harder than any scream could. He stood, reaching out. Elara, please. I stepped back. You only beg when you've lost control. I won't give it back to you. For the first time, Adrian didn't have a reply. His hand dropped, and he just stared at the ground. Lydia sobbed behind him. I didn't mean for this. I loved you both. I turned toward the door. You loved yourself. That's fine. But now you can see what it costs. Rain hammered against the windows. The house that once felt like a prison now felt hollow, like a museum of everything I survived. Noah's voice was soft beside me. You sure you're ready to walk away? I nodded. I've been ready for years. I just didn't know it until now. He opened the door for me.